Hello, guys. This is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and we are ending eating disorders using nothing but your brain. And hello, welcome, welcome. So, what we are absolutely fixing, not a band aid on it, not just in recovery, not squeaking along and hoping it doesn't happen again, but this is full, absolute freedom from binge eating, bulimia, not having an eating disorder anymore, yo-yo dieting, food obsession, body hate, overeating, and we're talking full freedom. And one really important part of that is really thinking about when is the right time for recovery. And when we talk about recovery, I'm talking about it in a language that a lot of us are used to, right? We think of being in recovery or relapsing or out of recovery or, just like, it's like we hold on to that identity for the rest of our lives. It's like either have an eating disorder or I'm in recovery. You're going to be in recovery for the rest of your life. So I just want to like bust that myth real quick that with freedom, with the principles that we teach, it's about not having an eating disorder anymore. Like we've had women who have been in recovery for decades or had an eating disorder for 40 years. And in a matter of weeks, like 4 or 8 weeks, they don't even have that identity anymore because they don't have an eating disorder anymore. They're a normal eater. They don't have urges to binge. They're not binging. They're not purging. They're not dieting. They have a metabolism that can just handle having dessert. They forget about food. Like that is what is available for you when you actually fix this problem at its root instead of trying to put all of these band-aids on top of it. But you might wonder, like, when is the right time to do that? Because yes, it does take effort and it does take work and it does take a commitment. And we start questioning ourselves and thinking like, wow, I've been struggling for so long. I told myself I wouldn't do this anymore, and then I still do it. Maybe I'm not really that committed, or when is the right time of life, or what are the right circumstances, or this is so important, and I want to make sure that I'm successful in doing this. And so I want to give you guys a really sort of clear guideline for knowing when is the right time for recovery. And it's so fun to see you guys on. So whether you are on live, hello, or whether you are here on the playback, feel free to say hello. Let us know that you're here. It's so fun to see just who is popping onto live feeds. We have such an amazing community, and it's really fun to get to know you guys. And then some of you I already know because you are free from your eating disorders and you're just part of this community because you're awesome. And it's just so fun to have you here. So say hello and let me know whatever questions come up for you guys. Like if you guys have some circumstances of like, okay, so here's my life circumstance right now. Is this a good time for recovery, or what factors should I look at? Feel free to pop it in the chat. Like I'm here as a resource for you guys. And it's just really beautiful to have you part of this community for us to all be getting free together. So hello and welcome those of you who are just popping on. Okay, so we're going to look at phases of life because eating disorders a lot of times, span, if you don't fix them, they just keep on going and keep on getting worse. So we have people who, they don't even have memories of normal eating, right? Like, they were binging at their birthday party when they were 6 years old. They were binging, they have memories of binging, being alone in kindergarten when they were 4 years old and like seeing the other kids playing outside and they were inside, hiding food and binging on it. A lot of us, started when we were around 10, 12 years old, when our mothers put us on our first diet, and then we never had a normal relationship with food since then. So this goes a long time. So we're just going to cover each phase of life and when is a good time and when is not a good time to really be in that place where not only recovery, but you're moving toward your freedom. And I just want to simplify this right up front, you guys. And we're going to loop back around to this and really deepen in this principle. But I just want to solidify this point of there will always be reasons to not fix this problem right now. Always. There will always be reasons to not fix this problem right now. There will never be a convenient time to end your eating disorder. But this is how it goes through the phases of life. So when we're young, a lot of times we don't have a lot of options. We might have the time, but we don't have the resources. We're dependent on our parents, and we're completely dependent on what they would have us do. And most all the time, parents don't know how to end an eating disorder. And they think of the traditional ways like, oh, well, we'll put you in therapy. Or if it's more of a severe eating disorder, then they're like, okay, we're going to mortgage the house and we're going to pay $30,000 for, the next couple of months. That's $60,000. We're going to get in debt. We're going to send you to an eating disorder treatment center. If it's, more severe, sometimes that'll be an option. Or they'll say, oh, well, do what I'm doing, go on a diet. That'll be the thing if you're having trouble with food. And what parents don't realize is that all of those solutions actually make the problem worse. So if you send your child to therapy, then they're disconnecting from the real root of the problem of their eating disorder. They're going back to, oh, well, what happened in your childhood? And do you not have any coping mechanisms? And they're going back and they're analyzing all this stuff. And the huge detriment to that is, we've worked with amazing young women who didn't even try to fix their eating disorder anymore. Even though purging could stop their heart 3 different ways in that moment, even if they knew that, they stopped trying because they had gone to therapy, because their therapist said, oh, wow, you have all of these emotional problems, you have all of these past, traumas you need to sort through. And oh, like you have all these coping mechanisms that you need to, build up before you can even hope to recover from your eating disorder or have any sort of relief. So they actually stopped even trying to fix their eating disorder because the problem got so big. And then if your parents send you to an eating disorder treatment center, man, we've worked with so many clients that they carry around this guilt from when they were teenagers because their parents literally got in $60,000 of debt to send them to an eating disorder center for 2 months. And then they came back home and they said, hey, you're better, right? And they lied and they said yes, because they felt too bad to let their parents know that their eating disorder was worse than it had ever been. And now they have this identity, and now they have all of these scars around it of like, oh, I'm broken, I went to the center and I'm worse than ever, and now it's a secret from the rest of the world. We have women we've worked with in their 50s that their parents thought when they were 17 years old that they were done with their eating disorder, and they just never mentioned it after that because they're like, oh yeah, mom, thanks so much, doing great now. And then they just never brought it up again. And so what happened, or diet, diets are the #1 cause of eating disorder. So that just makes it worse. So a lot of times when we're younger, then we might have some ideas of how to fix this, but we don't have the freedom, as in we're dependent on our parents to decide on solutions. And most things that parents will do for their kids, not on purpose, but just because we have a broken society that has really bad conventional wisdom around eating disorders. Rewind a little bit more, and the conventional wisdom would have been, well, you need a lobotomy. Like, the eating disorder treatment industry has had very bad ideas for a very long time, and that's not different now. Like, they still have really bad ideas that make the problem worse. So when you're young, your parents decide that, but they oftentimes don't have good ideas, right? And then you get to more independence, right? So you're in college and you have more of a freedom, you have more of a say over what sort of treatment that you get, but you may have time, but you don't have the money, right? Like, you might not be, independent enough to be able to invest in really good solutions. So then that comes up as a reason, like, not to, or a reason to wait till the next chapter of life. And then when you have kids, you might be more financially stable, you might be able to invest in better solutions, but you don't have the time. Like, you have this new family and it's taking up all your time. And then you get into the phase of putting other people's needs before your own. So, oh, well, my kids need to go to college. Oh, well, my kids need this. Oh, well, my kids need my attention. My kids need my time. Or, someone else in your family, your partner. And we started to this phase of, I will fix this as soon as I don't have other people to put their needs before my own. And then we get into a pattern of that, of we keep on delaying the very thing that's hurting us and making this worse, because we use the excuse of like, oh, okay, well, I've got to put my time toward other things. And the same thing with that phase of life with your career. It's like, oh, well, I'm building my career right now. Or we get into an embarrassment of like, oh, well, I don't want anybody to know about this. And so I'm just going to ignore the problem. I'm going to pretend like it's not here or it doesn't exist so that I can just focus on my career and be successful there. All the while, it's just really hurting us. So we coach this phenomenal woman who's now eating disorder free after decades, and just love her so much. But she had a super successful career. incredibly, incredibly successful. She would travel all over the world. And what she would do when she traveled all over the world is she would go to these incredible destinations, and her company would put her in a hotel room, and she would have these amazing work projects, and she was completely miserable the whole time. Because she would go and do her work project, and then she would come back, and instead of going and sightseeing Italy or Hong Kong, she would be in her hotel room ordering in food and just binging and binging and binging out of control and completely ruining these amazing chapters of her career that she could have enjoyed and she could have seen the world, but instead she saw the inside of her hotel room and the bottom of a to-go box, like the takeout box. This is what it does in the career phase. But then we talk ourselves into, well, I'm really focused on my career right now and I'll have to wait till it's a better time because I'm so busy. And then big world things happen. Like we're in the middle of a pandemic right now. And a lot of us are quarantining and a lot of us are working from home. And finally, and it's been so beautiful to see so many of you finally draw that line in the sand and say, like, now is the time, because you finally have the time to do it. But then you run into, oh, but things are so wobbly with my job. Like, oh, well, I have the time to do it, but now I don't have, the money to invest in good solutions. And so that's another reason why I can't do it. So I want to just point out to you guys, throughout these phases of life, and then we have a lot of women on retirement that are in a place of like, oh, well, I can't because now I have all the time in the world, but now, I don't have the wealth that I did. Well, I was in my career phase. And so there's usually like this time and money, like you never have both and you never have them at the same time. And it really creates this delay. So what I want to be really clear in this is that this is your life. And every day that you spend in your eating disorder, you don't get that day back. You never get it back. You're only going forward in your life. And those days just get burned. So you don't get your time back. And the other thing that happens is that every time that you wait, you have fewer options. Every time that you say, well, I don't have the time or the money to invest in good solutions and do something real, so I'm just going to go back on this free diet that I found on the internet. Every single time that you do something else in the meantime, because, oh, well, I don't have whatever right now, it's not a good time, so I'll just do this thing that I really know doesn't work, but it's free, and I'll just go ahead and do this as putting a Band-Aid on it. Every time that we try something and fail, it just wears away at our hope, where there will be a point where not even we can help you because you have lost hope. You have lost a belief that you could ever be done because you have failed too many times. You can only fail so much before it's the ultimate failure if you don't get back up again. That is the risk that we take emotionally and mentally. And financially, every time that we just throw money at some Band-Aid solution that isn't going to fix the problem, and then it takes away from our resources. And then the longer that we wait, then we have all of these health issues. So now, oh, well, I would love to have a good solution for ending my eating disorder, but I'm in $100,000 of medical debt because I waited too long to fix the problem. So understand that it's not about just the right time for recovery. It's about that any time that you are not involved in a real solution to fix this problem all the way, like we do at Life with Lydia, then you have fewer options and fewer hope and fewer resources to ever fix this. There is a cost every moment that you're not fixing it. You have fewer options and you keep on losing days. And the real cost is that you don't get those days back. You do not get your life back. Man, we've worked with so many women that said, I wish I would have done this 40 years ago. I wish I would have done this 25 years ago. I wish the solution would have been around the decades that I lost with this. So if you think of a house that you're in, right? And the house is your life, right? Like this is where you live, this is where you spend your time. And if that house is on fire, the fire does not stop burning your house just because you ignore the problem. just because you think there's going to be a better time to put out the fire down the road. The house keeps on burning every moment that you don't stop the fire or you don't get away from the fire. And your eating disorder is the exact same way. The best time to run out of a burning building is always now, and then now, and then now. The present moment, because you can't do anything about the past. The only thing you have control over is right now, and the best time to get out is always now, because every single moment that the house is burning, that your eating disorder is getting worse, that you're ruining your health, that you're reinforcing this failure, every single moment of that is something that is burning down your life. The damage is still happening. So if you just take a deep breath right now, and again, we're going to circle right back to where we started. That with an eating disorder, there are always reasons to not fix this. And as you take that deep breath, you are going to have lots of reasons come to your mind of why now is not the time, and why it's not convenient, and why you can't afford it, and why it's not a good time for other people. And all those reasons are going to come to mind. And the main question you want to say is, so what? So what? So what if it's inconvenient? So what if you feel like there could be a better time sometime in the future? So what? This is your life, and you deserve to have a life where you can still be free. You don't know how many days you have. You don't know if you're going to survive your next binge or purge. You don't know what your future holds. The only thing that you have is right now, and the only thing that you have is today. So you must fix this now. It only gets harder to fix as you go along. The time to run out of a burning building is always now. When there is damage happening, this isn't on pause until you fix it. It continues to hurt you every single day that you are in it. And here's the other big principle that happens is the more time that we spend in our eating disorders, the more climatized we get to the damage that it's doing. Think of it as like going to the dentist, right? Like you know that you need to go to the dentist and you've got this tooth pain. But do you have tooth pain and go right to the dentist? Of course you intellectually know that would be the best thing to do because the problem is only going to get worse. The decay and the pain is only going to get worse. But no, you've got work, you've got kids, you've got things to do. You don't just run off and go to the dentist. So if we have tooth pain on the right side, then we start eating on the other side of our mouth. We start eating on the left side of our mouth. And then when it gets too bad to eat on the right side of our mouth or the left side of our mouth, then what do? We start eating softer things. And then when even softer things hurt, then we start taking pain medication. We just start trying to put Band-Aids and Band-Aids and Band-Aids on top of this because it's never a convenient time to go to the dentist. It's never a good time. There will always be a reason not to. But I guarantee there will be a time where you have to, because it will get so bad and it will get so painful that you will have to drop everything, no matter how important. It doesn't matter your circumstances. It doesn't matter if it's the most important event of your life. It doesn't matter if your child is being born or you're having your grandchildren born right then. There will be a point where you are going to emergency go to the dentist because you don't have options anymore. Do not let yourself get to the point where you have no options anymore. And it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking. But on the one hand side, we have these incredible women that come to us where it's like, I've had an eating disorder for 6 months. There's no way this is going to ruin my life. I'm here. I'm ready to fix this. I want to do a real solution. I don't want to do Band-Aids. I'm going right to the best solution. And they're free and it's amazing. But more times than not, the women that we talk to, the people that we help all around the world, the women and men, it's, I just had a heart attack. I'm not even 40 years old. I have to fix this now. I'm at the heaviest weight that I've ever been, and I'm really worried about losing my mobility. I have to fix this now. I mean, when it was me, it was one thing, but now I have my teenage daughter or my young 10-year-old daughter that is imitating what I'm doing, and I'm passing this on to them. I have to fix this now. This took all of my years away from me with my kids. I was never present with my children. And I refuse to have that be the case with my grandchildren. I have to fix this now. I'm so worried I'm not even sleeping anymore. I have to fix this now. Dieting isn't working anymore. I've always been able to diet and lose the weight, even though I'm binging and I'm falling off the wagon. But I've been fasting, I've been intermittent fasting, I've been trying everything, I've been on stimulants, and I'm actually gaining weight. What's happened is my metabolism broken. Why am I gaining literally 10 pounds a week when I'm doing the same things that I've done before? I have to fix this now. You don't have to let it get to that point. You don't have to let it get to the point of emergency. But here is the gift, right? I want you guys to see this pattern. Here is the other amazing thing about choosing to draw that line in the sand today and fix this problem, is that you are breaking the very pattern of your eating disorder. Your entire yo-yo dieting, overeating, binge eating, bulimia, like food obsession, body hate, you know what all of that goes back to? The pattern of teaching you that you're powerless, that you don't have control over your own life, that you have to try to control all of your circumstances, that you have to avoid all of these different things. Your eating disorder teaches you powerlessness. And you are breaking those very patterns when you draw that line in the sand and you say, today is the day that I'm going to fix this. Today is the day that I'm going to get real help, when I'm going to stop sitting on the fence and doing Band-Aid solutions. Today is the day. You are literally breaking that pattern. The other big pattern that you are breaking today is that you are fixing it today, and your entire eating disorder is based off of, we will fix this tomorrow. Am I right or am I wrong? Last time that you binged, you promised yourself this is the last time. You're not going to do this tomorrow. Oh, it's not such a big deal because I'm going to make up for it tomorrow. You've had 10, 20, 40 years of promising yourself that you're going to do this tomorrow. Can you imagine the power of telling your eating disorder that we're not going to keep on tomorrowing this and day oneing this and tomorrowing this and tomorrowing this for another 10 years? That today is the day. That is the power of making the decision today. You are breaking those old patterns. And please know that I say this with all and the love and the care and respect, you guys, because I've absolutely been there. But the other thing that our eating disorder will try to trick us into is saying, oh, but you have been trying. Nothing's been working. And you know what? If you have tried your best and the solution and something new, and that's one thing. But most of the time, what we are trying is something deep down that we know is not going to work. You've already done a diet 100 times. Why would it work this time? You've already taken stimulants years of your life. Why on earth would it be different this time? You've already tried to control all of your food or all of your circumstances. You've already done 10 years of therapy. Why on earth would doing the same thing that hasn't worked before over and over and over be any different this time? And deep down, you know that. Deep down, you know that you haven't really committed to a solution, that you have just wanted relief. You've wanted a Band-Aid. You've wanted to say, this is just too much. I've just got to get 10 pounds off to feel a little bit better. But you know deep down that that was never going to fix the problem. You've proven it. It never, ever has. So when I say that you draw that line and you make the decision, I'm talking about the decision to be free. Not a Band-Aid, not recovery, not relief. Freedom. And with the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people all over the world that we have shown that absolute permanent freedom to, they get to experience their life. They get to bake with their little girls. They get to go out for dessert with their teenagers. They get to be able to enjoy going on vacation and not worried about coming back and binging or coming back so much heavier because they were completely out of control with food. To actually be present, to know what it's like to be happy, to wake up in the morning and know they're not going to binge. Every single one of those people did the very same thing that I'm coaching you today, is they decided on today. They refused to let "we will fix this tomorrow" take their life anymore. Because your eating disorder can keep on tomorrowing you and tomorrowing you until you don't have any more tomorrows. And that's not worth it. This is your life. And you don't ever have to fix this problem. Let's just be clear about that. You never have to fix it. There are people who die from eating disorders all the day, like every day. That's something that is a common thing. Eating disorders are extremely common, whether it's the yo-yo dieting and the obesity and all of the like health issues associated with that, whether it's, the purging and instantly stopping your heart when everyone thought you were such a healthy person, and now they realize like, oh, it's the woman with the legacy of, she was a total fraud. She posted on Instagram and she said how healthy she was, and she said all of these, clean foods that she was eating, but really she killed herself with food. You can leave behind that legacy. That can be you. But if you want something better for your life, the very best thing that you can do to draw that line in the sand today is to set aside the time for you to get the help that you need for 1 hour. And that is what we do as a free service. It is called a breakthrough session. And it is called a breakthrough session because it is breaking you through the old patterns that have kept you stuck and showing you how to be free. And we have been doing this for a long time. And we can say this will be the best hour that you have ever spent on your freedom, because this is about getting you the foundation of freedom. This is about you drawing that line in the sand and taking that step of, yes, I'm choosing freedom. I don't want to be in this hell anymore. And if you are sick and tired of this ruling your life and taking your life one day at a time and dying one day at a time, then you can draw that line in the sand. You just go to lifewithlydia.com/apply. Again, that's lifewithlydia.com/apply. And you can book a free breakthrough session with us. And we're going to walk you through your breakthrough, through getting you the foundation of freedom. And if we can show you how to get to the other side of this and be free for the rest of your life, we will show you how. And if not, then we'll know where to best direct you from there. But either way, the power of it is the decision, is the showing up for yourself and deciding to do something real and not just have the old cheap band-aid of relief that is only going to make the problem worse. This is about fixing it all the way. And that is available to you no matter how long it's been, no matter how broken you feel, no matter how many failures that you've had. When you start doing what actually works, it feels really easy and fun because you actually get to see results. You actually get to feel that freedom. You get more of you back. You get to actually know what it's like to be calm and to be happy and to be peaceful. And it's a really beautiful thing. And I'm so excited for you guys. So again, this is Lydia, the lifestyle coach, and signing off for today. Mwah. Bye, guys.